We now interrupt today's regularly scheduled programming for the Collective Perspective Special Edition live on location at Occupy Wall Street. So are you in a safe location right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And are you able to talk for a little bit?
Sure. May I ask how long we expect to talk?
As long as you have. We may end up having to include the other reporters that are there right now that just got done avoiding being arrested.
Okay.
Sah, where are you now, and what have you encountered in the time that you've been in New York?
Okay, actually, yeah, I'm home now. I'm a Newark, New Jersey resident. I guess I'll begin by explaining how everything happened yesterday. I have a friend who is an aspiring reporter, news reporter, and she is currently building her reel. And she asked if I was interested, as I am starting a production company myself, in helping her document the protest. So we traveled up there yesterday. We went by, we took some footage. Another friend of mine, Bashir, a colleague, took some stills. We talked to a couple of people. And then we actually kind of had to move along because I had to be a part of a fundraiser for a company that I'm in. But that was it. Yesterday, it was kind of settled. They actually began marching today, so there wasn't too much going on, at least for the period of time that I was down there yesterday.
So you left New York when?
I left New York, much later that evening, but I left the Wall Street area probably around 5 or a little before 5.
Okay. Now, my brother and friends, all reporters for the station, they got there a few hours after you did. Actually, many hours. They got there just after the quiet hours.
Okay.
But I know that around the time that you left, Radiohead had been rumored to be playing there at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about that. We didn't see them go.
Okay. So what did you see? I mean, did you see a lot of the Anthony Bolognas on the street, people, cops that are just completely corrupt and macing people for no reason?
You know what? As strange as it sounds, it almost sounds disappointing, but I did not see any of that. Not at the period of time that I was there. Again, it was very settled. Everybody was pretty much holding up their signs or creating signs or kind of preparing for whatever else. We spoke to a couple of people. We got to interview a couple of people. There were a group of musicians that were playing. There were people that were feeding everybody. And we saw a couple of police officers, and they were just kind of standing on the sidelines, observing.
Yeah, from what we've been told by Caleb and Matthias, it's been a fairly peaceful gathering as long as they have been there, and they've actually experienced police officers in blue shirts actually treating them quite well, and the police officers that they experienced the most trouble with are the ones in white. And they were just actually on the bridge as the police officers began to trap them. And as it turns out, the police officers actually were directing people to the bridge so that they could trap them. And they brought in a number of buses so that they could arrest up to 500 people. It's uncertain how many people have actually been arrested, but one of them was a 12-year-old girl. And
terrible.
But these are things that you really didn't see much of while you were there.
Yeah, while I was there, I didn't see any of that. There was one lady that we interviewed with her son, and she spoke briefly about the day before there was marching, and she saw the police start to bring out nets, and she was making the point that she wanted to make sure to take her son away or not have her son see that, because she didn't want her son to have distrust in the police at this current moment. Her son was 7. And so she said if she's in an area like that, she doesn't want her son to get lost and feel that she can't trust the police to help him find her. And begin to discuss the obvious conflict of interest there, where she had to step away from an injustice that she saw happening, and recognizing that, of course, you cannot always trust law enforcement. But in that case, she had to do what she had to do. But yeah, while I was there, none of that happened.
Nope.
But there was mention made to that it had happened before. And you could sense the tenseness that something might actually happen, but yeah, I guess it's kind of on me because I had to leave early for the fundraiser, so that's probably why. Well, did it really get bad?
It remains to be seen. I was connected with my crew as they were in two different groups. They got separated from one another, and so I did a conference call so that we could all talk to one another. And they were just basically trying to find safety and not get arrested. It looks like they found safety. They weren't arrested, but because they're there as media, they're sending me all of the media that they have just in case they do get arrested and that gets confiscated. But what was the impetus for you to want to go to Wall Street this weekend?
Well, I had been hearing about everything that was going on, and obviously dismayed at the fact that there was no news coverage over this, even though you can't be too surprised at that. So it was just a matter of seeing something for myself if I knew that the mainstream media wasn't going to bring the information to me. That, along with the fact that my friend wanted to get this newsreel done, and I wanted to get some video as well. It all came together. The sense I got from this scenario was there was again, at the period of time that I was there was a good amount of organization. You will wonder how much was actually going to be accomplished. We interviewed a couple of people. There was one lady that declined to be interviewed on camera, but she did speak with me, and she made a very good point. It was a nice old lady from Egypt, and her point was, she said she didn't understand how much would actually be achieved by standing somewhere and asking for something loudly, especially when the government has already shown that it has no interest in actually helping the people. And she said she felt that the only true effective change would come when by small businesses and creating a communal economy amongst one another, but that it was going to take a higher level of focus and organization. And I actually agree with that myself, but was able to observe organization in as much as there were people who were feeding people, obviously for free. A lot of people were coming and bringing donations for food. There was the human mic thing happening, which I'm sure some of the other people who have spoken to have spoken about this, where the system is set up where someone will call out something and everybody will repeat it, so to make sure that the message gets around to everybody in that general area. The same lady I spoke to you before made a good point about in doing that, it encouraged everybody to listen and to cooperate, and that is probably the most effective tool we have when facing such an obstacle.
So you really felt and got a sense that there was really a lot of love involved in this protest.
Definitely.
Yeah, I had been to Woodstock '94, and it might sound like a strange thing to bring up when we're talking about police brutality and protests, but my generation were the children of hippies, and
right.
So it was always kind of a fantasy that we assumed would never actually happen, that we would have our own Woodstock moment, and arguably the reasons behind why there were Woodstock '94 and '99 are debatable, whether they were good intentions or not, but it doesn't stop the fact that the experience that I had with my friends at Woodstock '94 was authentic, and there's something truly just amazing and beautiful about 500,000 people spontaneously showing up somewhere and getting along and not having problems and creating your own traffic, human traffic, as you're getting from one concert to the next, and some people are inebriated, some are not. And just these amazing experiences that you can only possibly understand if you've been there.